Well, today I've got a beauty for you. I have a 1936 Corona Standard. We love these typewriters, super popular among serious writers and authors, people who actually write either for a living or just are avid writers. They love these typewriters. The standards, the silence can look like this. This is again a 1936, and it's really in pristine condition for a 36. There's very few blemishes on this black gloss, which makes it a beautiful machine. The decals are not perfect, but they're still in decent shape. But let me show you how to use one of these. This is a typing tutorial. And so we're going to walk around now. If you're looking at one of these, most likely you're pretty familiar with typewriters. But if you're new and you just really want one of these because this is a very classic machine, great. We're so happy that you're diving into the world of typewriters and maybe you don't know much. So this is going to be a great tutorial for you. First of all, this is a manual. There's no electric, nothing, no batteries, no chargers, nothing to plug in, and it's portable. The paper is going to be going right here behind the roller and before the decal, but before I put the paper in, let me show you around up here. So the carriage can be released by the levers behind here, and you just pull those in. The drawband's naturally going to pull it to the left, but you just go back and forth to feel that. To adjust your margins, you flip this forward and you just press these down and then move them. And so your right and your left margin here, okay? This is your return handle. So once you put your paper in, so we'll put it in and then you turn. These older ones don't catch as well. There we go, they caught it right away. And you just roll in your paper, and sometimes when you roll the paper it's going to be crooked, and so you use this paper release right here and you pull that forward and then adjust your paper, make sure it's nice and even, and then tighten that back up. Okay, this is your return handle, and this is going to advance a line, plus it's going to return the carriage to the front. So if you want to, right now it's set on single spacing, but if you move this down, that's going to go to doubles. Not spacing, but double line. Okay. Also, I'm going to move that all the way to the left, because when it's time to change your ribbon, you need to open up this top, and so the carriage needs to be to the left before you open this up, or else, well, you just won't be able to, or else you're going to scratch it. So you just pop this open and you'll see the beautiful interior. This is called an escapement, and you can see this moves freely because this is called a floating shift. If you notice on these older typewriters, on the other ones, when you hit shift, the carriage actually would lift up and it was clunky, it would go clunk, clunk. And so the floating shift was a great addition, a great upgrade that Corona came out with, where the escapement moved instead of the carriage, and it made the whole typing process much smoother. Okay, here's the ribbons. It does take a universal ribbon in case you don't want to use the original metal spools. Not every typewriter still has the original metal spools. This one does. They just pop in and out. And if you need to put new ribbon on, you can either order bulk ribbon somewhere, or you can order a universal ribbon and just manually switch out the ribbons if you wish. Okay, but pay attention to how they're threaded through the guide wires. If you are looking at purchasing this one or any of our typewriters, you'll notice on our Etsy shop, I take a close-up picture of the interior of the typewriter so you can see how it is threaded through. Make sure the black is on the top, red is on the bottom. And when you get to the end of the spool, instead of replacing your ribbon, you're going to change the direction of your spool so you can use it many times. You change the direction on this typewriter right here, and it's just a real subtle shift. And in order to, I'm going to close this, and before I do, right here, has 1 through 7. That just determines how hard your bars are going to strike your paper, depending on how dark you want your font. Anyway, I don't want to explain that. But let's go back to reversing the direction right here. When you get to the end of the spool, the typewriter may lock up, or probably in this case, it's just going to get really faint as you're typing. As soon as that happens, please stop, open this up, and see if you need to reverse the direction. And because if you don't and you keep typing, it's going to either punch a hole in your ribbon because you're hitting the same spot over and over and over, or it's going to rip it. And you can cut it and then rethread it if you need to, but obviously that's not ideal. So you can reverse the direction several times before you need to change out your ribbon. Here's your color selector. It's on black right now, and you just flip it up for red. Okay, let's go ahead and type on this and see how it does. On this old typewriter, it does not have a number 1, so you use your lowercase l. And this is a Corona, not a Smith Corona. This is before Smith purchased Corona. And darn it, if I can't think of the year that they combined. I used to know that, but it's not on the top of my head right now. Oops, backspace when you make a mistake. Typewriters is very imperfect, and I love that. So you're going to have to type over your mistakes, or X through them, or dash through them, or sometimes you can use an eraser to go through it. This one is portable. Whoops. So this looks like it's pretty faint. So I'm wondering if I'm at the end of my spool. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to switch the direction. And the reason I'm opening it up, I just want to make sure that it's not stuck or something. So, oops. So I can see it moving. And you can see, here's a perfect example. When it wasn't, let me switch this. When it wasn't moving and it was getting faint, remember I said it'll poke a hole in your ribbon, and so we'll change this out. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it typed a hole right there in the ribbon. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And if that happens, just kind of move it. Let's see which, here we go. So I'm going to wind this. And I'm just going to make sure it's working both directions. There we go. Okay. So you just need to make sure, probably before you put the lid down and start typing, make sure that it's freely moving, because sometimes these levers kind of get stuck in between, especially in transportation, or like when I was showing you, I moved the lever and it wasn't fully engaged in the proper direction. So let me just make sure we're going this direction. Okay, it's good. Let's go back and let's finish our typing. Perfect. You can see the difference between how light it is and how dark. So as soon as you notice that it's getting really faint, make sure your ribbon's not stuck. And if it is, alter this, make sure it's engaged. And if it is working, then that just means it's getting close to replacing your ribbon. I have a very slippery table, so I'm having to hold this because it's sliding. And so you may want to put a typewriter pad underneath your typewriter. Let's try the red. And don't hit two at once. And let's try that again. Let's move it to black. And okay, so while this one works, because I write a book on mine, and I like when I'm writing books, I want to make sure that I have a typewriter that's going to flow easy, that's kind of going to have a rhythm. This one, probably because it's a little bit older, I'm finding it harder to get into a rhythm. It works, so this would be great for those of you who are doing maybe short stories, poetry, thoughtful manuals are great for deep thinking. If you some thoughtful prose, because you're taking your time, you're kind of letting your fingers flow with with what's going on inside, and this would be a good typewriter for that. If you just want to click, get stuff out quickly. This probably isn't the one I'm going to recommend for that. Probably something that's a little bit easier to type on. This is probably not a good one for beginners unless you just love the look of it and you don't mind typing really slow. And that's just because even though it does work, it has a different feel. It's going to need a little bit more time. It's not a quick typing machine. I don't know how to explain it. All I know is I can go, but I'm just trying to tell you the feel of this one. So while I like this one would be one that maybe I would, so this typewriter would be good for letters, probably some maybe creative writing, something that's going to take you a little bit more time, and thoughtful, creative writing, thoughtful prose, poetry. So this is what I would recommend for this particular typewriter. And thank you so much for watching. If you want to know more about this typewriter, there's the link in the comments below. You can also just visit our Etsy shop with the link is in the comments and see what we have in stock at the time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.